Hi guys, it's Carol from Cape Cod Cottage Garden. I'm not on Cape Cod, I'm at my other house because you guys all know about the remodel. But today I thought I'd discuss 5 of my must-have flowers and 5 of my must-have veggies. I went through my 2 giant boxes of seeds and trying to decide what I was going to grow this year. And again I kept thinking, these 5 vegetables and these 5 flowers are ones that I grow every year. They just can't be missed, and I'm really excited to share my top 5 veggie and my top 5 flower with you all. So also, I don't know if I shared this before, but I always film the food I'm cooking. I've done hundreds of food videos and not one have I posted, but at the end of this video, I am gonna show you one of the recipes that I like to make, so stay tuned to the end to see that recipe. So let's get started with flowers first. So one flower that I always like to grow, it's very easy to grow, it's a great cut flower, are zinnias. And in particular, I really like the Baneri Giants. I'll try to post some pictures of my actual flowers from the past years. If I can find some, I'll post them. But I really like the Baneri Giants. They're just such a beautiful big flower head. I mean, I grow all kinds of zinnias. I grew the Queenie type, I grew the Cinderella type, I even grew the one from Florette Farms, which were stunning, I have to say. They were gorgeous just because their color profile is just so different. But I really do, just for the simplicity of the pure, bright color and the big blooms of the Baneri Giants. I have all the colors, coral, pink, white, you name it, I have it. So that's one of them. And these are in no particular order, by the way. The second one I really love is Love Lies Bleeding Amaranth. Here's a picture of the seed packet. I know I probably do have some kind of clip of that because this summer my amaranth was gorgeous. It had tassels that were like literally 5 feet long. The first year I grew it, it did nothing. So I'm not saying these are always successful for me, but I just enjoy them. So that's why they make on the list. And the next one is straw flower. This one happens to be king size silvery rose, but I just love straw flower. One, I love the texture, the crispy. They come in all kinds of colors and they last so long. You can literally put them in the vase dry and they still hold their color for months. I mean, I just love them. Very easy to grow too, I find. And then this was a new one for me this year, actually, and it's snapdragons. I never grew snapdragons before because I don't love the flower. I kind of feel like the flower, it's pretty, but it's not like a big showy thing. But let me tell you, their staying power. I grew these, oh, and I just spilt all the seeds. Blooper number 1. I spilt all the snapdragon seeds all over my lap. Okay. Onward and upward. Anyways, these things flowered spring, summer, and fall. I literally was cleaning up my gardens and there was still blooms on the snapdragons. If I remember, I'll link the video where I show you when my snapdragons were still blooming and it was really hard to rip them out. But as you know, I'm not living there and I had to leave and I wanted things cleaned up before I left. So that's it. I do have 2 honorable mentions. And one of them is cosmos. I like cosmos. I love their movement in the wind. They're delicate. They're just such a pretty flower. But this year especially, I grew this different cosmos. It's shorter. It's only about 12 to 20 inches tall, I guess. And it's called this Candy Floss Red Cosmos. Looks like that. It's a more sturdy flower. When I think of cosmos, they're kind of like a papery appearance. These ones are a little more robust and they're shorter. I'm sure I have a picture, so I'll post a picture of this. That's an honorable mention. And also, you can't go wrong with asters, like this China aster blend. They're just beautiful flowers. And I think they're very underrated. Not a lot of people grow these, but asters are beautiful, gorgeous flowers. So what do you think of my top 5? Are some of your top 5s and my top 5? And let me tell you, it was super hard just to pick 5. As you can see, I do have 2 honorable mentions, but even that, it was so hard to narrow it down because I grow so many flowers. So next on to vegetables. Let's start with tomatoes because everyone grows tomatoes, right? But my favorite, I did pick 2 for this, but I'm gonna count it as one category. But my favorite must-grow tomato is the Sun Gold cherry tomato. If you have not tried Sun Gold tomatoes, you are missing out. They are the sweetest. I'm not a huge plain tomato eater off the vine. I'm becoming one more and more now that I'm trying all these interesting varieties of tomatoes. I'm really enjoying them just eating plain. But Whenever I take someone through my garden, the first thing that I hand them is a sun gold tomato and say, you gotta try this. And they always say the same thing. It's like, wow, that is delicious. They are so, so good and easy to grow, and they give you so many tomatoes on one plant. So I always grow these. The second is another tomato, so I'm gonna count this as still part of number one, but I grew these for the first time this year, and oh my gosh, I was the type of person who wouldn't eat just a sliced tomato. I'd eat it on a sandwich, I'd eat it in a salad, that type of thing, but I just wouldn't eat a sliced tomato. It's just not my thing. Until I met these little beauties. These are called Pink Berkeley tie-dye tomatoes. I got them through Fruition Seeds. I think other companies make them. Oh my gosh, the flavor profile on these tomatoes is like nothing I've ever tasted. Even though I'm a cook and I love food, I'm very bad at describing things, but it almost has like a little smoky, rich taste to it, very different. I don't like smoky things in general, but it's just the flavor is just so unique and delicious. I was slicing these. I was slicing them and eating them. That's just not me. Delicious. So moving away from tomatoes, I know I got carried away, but everybody loves tomatoes. I love these. These are my go-to beans, dragon tongue beans. Not only are they gorgeous, they're delicious. They're big beans, but they're tender. And they're growing a bush, so they're easy, and they're prolific. You can get so many beans off one bush. This year, I did fail with these, I'm gonna be honest. I wanted them so much that I jammed all the plants in. I planted too many all together, and then I had a problem in that bed with my water. So I really didn't get a great yield on my dragon tongues this year, but I'm not giving up on them. Last year was unbelievable, and next year's gonna be good too, because I'm gonna be more careful. So that was user error, but this is a go-to. If you haven't tried them, I highly recommend. Then peppers. I grow all kinds of peppers. All different kinds, hots, bells, everything. My favorite by far, the ones I use the most. So a lot of these things that I'm showing today, especially with the vegetables, are the ones that I eat all the time. And I just realized I forgot one. I forgot probably my favorite one. Oh my gosh. You know why? Because I have no more seeds left. So when I went through my bin, I didn't see any. But we'll get to that. But my favorite peppers that I use all the time, like none of them go to waste. Like a lot of my food, unfortunately, if I don't give it to someone, I end up in the compost pile. Not a lot, but some. But these never, because we eat every single one. These are the Jimmy Nardello Italian peppers. They are so good. They're not hot. They are so good. I use every single one. You can eat them fresh. You can cook with them. I love them. Has nothing to do with that I'm Italian. Maybe it does subconsciously, but I love these. And then I have this in here just because it's beautiful and easy to grow. And it's a beautiful, beautiful vegetable. And we eat every bit of it. So I thought it warranted a place in the top 5. And that is Lola Rasa lettuce. It's just such a pretty plant. It just grows and it's gorgeous and it's tasty and it's delicious. So before I go to the one I forgot about, which I can't believe it, because it's basically the thing out of the garden we eat the most. It's probably equal with tomatoes. But let me show you my honorable mention first. Genovese basil. So I'm Italian. I cook with basil a lot. I make pesto. I garnish with this. I eat it plain. I make tomato mozzarella bays. It's one of my favorite summertime snacks. I serve it when company comes. So basil is earning an honorable mention today, especially this Genovese basil is wonderful. So the big thing I'm missing that we eat all the time, literally, I would say almost daily, cucumbers. Oh my gosh, how could I forget my cucumbers? The cucumbers that you grow in your garden, I'll have to look up the names because I can't remember the names right now, and I'll put them at the bottom, my favorites, but they're nothing like the cucumbers you get in the store. They're so delicious. There's not a lot of seeds in them, very fleshy and so good. When I say we eat them every day, we almost do, because we're constantly, like when we're going to the beach, we slice up a whole cucumber, put it in a Ziploc, bring it to the beach, and we snack on that. So refreshing cold at the beach to have some fresh cucumbers. So those are my top 5 veggies and my top 5 flowers. Any of them overlap with yours? If so, let me know in the comment. And if you're liking the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. I do garden in Zone 7B, Cape Cod, Mass. So these favorites of mine may not work for you where you are, but I will always grow these vegetables every year. So I apologize for the humming noise in the background, but I really wanted my fireplace on and the fan is blowing, so that's what you might be hearing. I'll turn it around and show you how pretty it is. But before I do that, please enjoy the following portion of this video where I make my avocado pate. It is a dish that I make often. Everybody loves it. We're going to a Christmas party tonight at my friend's and I'm bringing it there. So I thought I'd bring you along and show you. So please be warned though, when I made the first portion of the dish was early this morning, so I am not cleaned up. I'm straight out of bed, I have my hair in a pony, and I'm a hot mess. But before we get to that, let me just show you the fireplace and Mr. Momo, because he's thoroughly enjoying it. Do you think he's enjoying it? Mr. Momo, you're so silly. It's really lovely because it's snowing here today. It's nice just to sit by the fire and I just show you my mantle. I didn't do much this year because, I don't know, with the remodel and stuff and being here, it was a little difficult, but here's my tree. We have a small tree here at my other house. It's not as big as the other tree. But maybe I can show you some snow before we get to the pate. Look at this guy. Momo, are you enjoying the fire? Hey, buddy. Hi. Such a sweet kitty. Okay, guys, I want to see if I can show you some snow. I know not all of you live in my area. It's not too much snow, but it sure is pretty. Okay guys, today I'm going to make my avocado pate. It is just an elevated guacamole, basically. And the ingredients you need to make this are pretty simple, actually. You need 2 blocks of cream cheese, 8 ounces each. It's supposed to be at room temperature, which it's not yet, so I'm trying to warm it up. 4 avocados, ripe. Some kind of onion. I'm using shallots. It does cause for shallots, but you can use a regular onion. These I grew from my garden, so I like to include something, if I can, that I grew from my garden in all my recipes. Doesn't always happen. Garlic, also from my garden. You'll need a lemon, some chili powder, some salt. And then for the garnish, you're gonna need some fresh parsley and pistachios, shelled pistachios. Try to get the lightly salted ones if you can, or no salt is even better. It is actually a very simple recipe, but putting it together is a little bit challenging. Not bad, but there's a few things you have to do in order for it to come out. Because what you're gonna do is, I'll show you later, is after you blend all your ingredients together nice and smooth, you're gonna put it into a mold and refrigerate it. They say 8 hours. I mean, I usually do it the day before, and then right before the event or wherever I'm gonna serve this dish, I will then add the garnish, which is the parsley, the pistachios, and also I garnish with some tomatoes and some black olives. I will walk you through the steps to ensure that your mold comes out nice and easy, and it's really not difficult. It's just there's a little trick to it, but I'll show you. So let's get to blending the ingredients. So since these are still really cold and not softened, I'm gonna start with the avocados. So in case none of you have ever worked with avocados before, make sure you remove the little stem there because you don't wanna get that into your pate. Someone will break a tooth, that wouldn't be pleasant. Take off the sticker. And basically just cut your avocado down the center to the bone of the avocado, all the way around. Slice it open, just like that. And in order to get this out, you just kind of carefully stab it with your knife, twist, and it comes right out. So just scoop the avocado into your food processor. And I'm gonna do that with all 4 avocados. You want your avocado to be pretty ripe, but not brown. So after you put your avocados in, you're gonna put your cream cheese in. 2 bars of cream cheese, 2 8-ounce bars. I'm gonna actually blend that a little bit because my food processor is getting a little bit full. I always like to pulse it at first just to break things down. Okay, now I'm gonna put in the other bar. And again, blend until smooth. So once you get that blended up nice and smooth, you want to add your shallots. It does call for 2 tablespoons of minced shallots. You can use a small onion if you don't have shallots. I grew these. Look how pretty they are. And I'm thinking, this might actually be 2 tablespoons. So I think I'll just start with this one. These shallots are so beautiful. The skin doesn't want to come off very easily. Oh my God, they're gorgeous. This is the first year I grew shallots. I think these were called Zebron shallots. I love shallots. I mean, it's basically an onion, obviously. The flavors are just a little bit more mild, and they're just beautiful. So you don't have to chop it up real small because you're going to throw it in the food processor, but I do. I don't want anybody to bite into a big chunk, so I do tend to chop it up a little bit small. This is probably a necessary step, me being neurotic. So I'm going to say that's about a good sized tablespoon. So I'm going to maybe not put the whole other half in because it calls for 2 tablespoons. This might be a little bit more. I'm trying to get away from using those plastic cutting boards. I've read so much about it lately. I'm trying to be healthier and more conscious of what I put in my body. So after you do the shallots, you're going to put 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. That I'm not going to measure. Just going to go for it. Oh, it smells so good, guys. And then 1 teaspoon of chili powder. And that I actually will measure. So chili powder, 1 teaspoon, and it goes. A 1/2 teaspoon of salt. If you get to know me, I never measure things. So I can kind of guess what a 1/2 teaspoon looks like in my hand. Not that much. About that much. And 2 teaspoons of minced garlic. Garlic, also from my garden. I'm going to call this 2 teaspoons. This I am going to just chop up just a little bit. I would call that 2 teaspoons. Maybe a little more, but I like garlic. And that's it. The rest of the ingredients are garnished. So let's mix that all up. And when you're mixing this, oh my gosh, it smells so good. It's looking pretty smooth. So now I'm just going to give it a taste because I'm the type of cook that doesn't measure everything. So I always do a little taste test. That is so delicious. Such simple ingredients, but so flavorful. So I push that aside because I'm going to show you the most important step to have a successful pate. This is part where it gets a little tricky, but if you do it just like this, you shouldn't have a problem. So you want to get a loaf pan. And what you're going to do is you need some wax paper. And you're going to make 3 layers of wax paper. So you want it to be pretty long. You want it to fit on the short end, but you want it to overlap on the long end. So I just take it and fold it like this until it kind of fits the size of my bowl. I rub it so it creases. And then I press it in. Just like that. So once you get the paper pressed in just like this, you're going to rub it with oil. I'm using avocado oil. You can use any vegetable oil. You can use olive oil, whatever. You want to just paint that paper and the sides with the vegetable oil. Don't skimp. Because the only thing you can really go wrong on this pate is not being able to get it out of the mold without destroying it. So that's one. I'm going to do another one. I mean, you could make this shorter, but I just think when it's longer, it makes it easier. Try to really push it into the corners too and try to make it as smooth as you can. I mean, it's not vital, but it helps with unmolding. And another layer of oil. I know it seems like overkill, but trust me, you want it to come out. Just paint up the sides. I don't know if you noticed earlier, but Mr. Momo is wandering around. I know he wants to get up here and see what I'm doing, but I'm not letting him. Usually he sits in the chair. I have a chair right there. He sits there and watches everything I'm doing. I like to just tuck it under like that, just to make it easy to work with. There we go. And again, you're gonna oil it. So really the prep of the pan is the hottest part, this whole appetizer. I've served this many, many times at parties and people love it. And at Christmas time, it's kind of festive because it's like green. Now that your pan is prepared, you're just gonna dump it in. Look how pretty it is. Isn't that gorge? If I could tell you what it smells like, I always wish we had smell-o-vision. Okay, so just dump it in. You guys gotta try this one, really. I know it seems like a lot of steps, but it's really not difficult. And people are always like, what is that? It's so delicious. So once you get it in the pan, you're just gonna smooth it out. You don't have to press it down, just smooth it out. And there's one more step before you put it in the refrigerator. So this is the last step. You're gonna take some saran wrap and you're gonna cover the top. And as you know, like avocados get brown when they're exposed to air. So the purpose of the saran wrap is to make sure no air touches the top. I mean, even if it does get a little bit brown, we're gonna be covering this in pistachios and parsley, so you won't see the browning, but, so you wanna make a nice big piece, because you wanna be able to wrap it around to make it airtight. You place it on top, and then you're gonna press it on top of the pate, so there's no air pockets. Really get in there and press it in. Make sure it's nice and sealed up. And then you're gonna just tuck it under. Oh, I made a big mess. All right, that's it. So now you're just gonna pop it into the refrigerator, ideally overnight or several hours. And then I'll come back when it's ready to unmold and we can garnish. Okay guys, so this is what we're gonna add to the pate. We have fresh parsley here that we're gonna chop, and pistachios. Remember the bag I showed you this morning? Nice shelled, lightly salted pistachios? Well, my daughter scooted out the door and grabbed the bag of pistachios and is now on her way to Boston and eating them. So luckily I have these pistachios in the cupboard, but now I have to shell them all. So we'll be back in about 25 minutes after I shell all these pistachios. Kids for you. Okay, so the recipe calls for a 1/4 cup of chopped fresh parsley and 2 tablespoons of pistachios. I just go by what it looks like. So Mr. Hubby helped me. We shelled about this many pistachios. So it's definitely more than 2 tablespoons, but we'll see if we need all those. But to start, I'm just gonna start chopping up the parsley. So that's more than a 1/4 cup. So I think I use more than it calls for. And I'd love to give credit where credit is due for this recipe, but I actually got this recipe from someone who was in my play group when my children were children, like babies, like 2, 4, and 6 years old or something like that. And they are now grown. My youngest is 22, so it's been a while. So I don't know where she got the recipe, but if you Google avocado pate with pistachios, I think it's called, you'll find the recipe. Because this is the extent of my recipe, and you'll laugh, because this is how fancy I am. There's my recipe. It's how I roll. So let me just chop up this. You want to chop it kind of fine. Okay, so just about like that. And it's okay if it's still a little wet from washing, because that just helps it adhere to the pistachios a little better. So now I'm going to take about that many pistachios. That's probably how much the recipe calls for, probably about 2 tablespoons, maybe a little bit more. These are a little harder, and don't mind my knife skills, they're not the best. Okay, that looks better. And now you're just gonna mix it in with the parsley. Then I kind of look at it and decide whether I need more parsley, do I need more pistachios? I'm losing half of it off my board. I'm feeling a bit impatient because my battery's gonna die in my camera, of course. Let me see. I feel like I could use a little more pistachio, actually. Seeing too much green there. So I shut off the camera for a little bit while I was chopping those extra pistachios because my camera is gonna die. But then after you get them together, you can kind of incorporate them by just chopping a little more. It should look just like this. Let me give you a little closer look. So that's what you're gonna use to top your pate. So this is probably the second most challenging part, is plating up your pate, because you want it to hold together. And I started this at 11 this morning. It is now almost 5:30. I usually do it overnight, so hopefully this won't be a giant fail. I got my plate. Isn't it a pretty plate? And then I'm just gonna put some baby butter lettuce in the bottom, just to make it look pretty on the sides. You don't really need this because I end up covering all the edges with garnish usually anyway. Tomatoes, or I usually use tomatoes and olives. But just for the sake of completion, I'll show you how you can do it. If you don't want to garnish with tomatoes and olives or whatever, you can just use lettuce like this, just to make it look pretty. You know, we really do eat with our eyes. So then what you're gonna do is you just have to peel off all the plastic wrap. Please work, please work, please work. I've made this hundreds of times and never had a problem. But you know, as soon as you put the camera on, you're bound to have issues. Okay. I'm gonna hold the paper so it doesn't slip out until I'm ready for it to slip out. Guys, I gotta move it closer. Here we go. Try to get it in the middle of the plate the best you can. And then you're just gonna, please, come on, lift it, just like that, perfect. And then it's just a matter of pulling off the layers. Just like that, lovely. So if it looks a little funky, like see how I have the little grooves and stuff on the top, don't worry about that, because you're gonna cover it with the parsley and the pistachios, and that's the next part. And basically, you're just gonna sprinkle it on top, just like that. Actually press it in a little bit, cover the whole thing. I even try to cover the sides. I just kind of take some and pat it in. So I'm just gonna take some, kind of pat it into the sides. And if you need more, you run out, you just make more parsley and pistachio mix. If I remember tonight when I'm at the party, I'll try to get a picture of people enjoying it. I'll have to get their permission to be on camera, of course. Maybe before the cocktails really get flowing. So guys, while I'm doing this, I just realized that when I did my 5 favorite flowers, I left one out. Did anybody pick that up, that I only did 4? And the reason why I left it out is because I have no more seeds left. Well, I do have seeds, but they're in my fridge cold stratifying right now, so I didn't have them on hand. But the other flower that I absolutely must grow is echinacea. How could I have forgotten it? Anyways, I mostly grow just the regular purpurea, the native echinacea. I try to grow some native plants, obviously, but I do grow a whole bunch of different kinds of echinacea. You can look at some of my videos. I grew one this year called Allen's Pride. Oh my gosh, it's really pretty. It's like lime colored and then it turns like whitish. It's really, really pretty. And I also have in my garden white swan and echinacea super duper paradiso or something like that. I don't know, I'll have to look it up. But that one I only grew last year for the first time, so it hasn't flowered yet. All right, so basically that's what it looks like. And then I'm just gonna garnish with some tomatoes and some black olives. You can do the olives whole. I tend to use these chopped olives like this. It just saves me a lot of chopping. And sometimes people think this is caviar when I have it on the plate. I just think the olives go really nicely with the guacamole. And then I use some tomatoes, these little cherub, these tomatoes. So I'm just gonna put some olives all around the side. Nothing fancy. I mean, not olives, tomatoes, sorry. This just makes it festive for Christmas. And then I usually cut one and try to make it like a pretty shape or something, like make a little flower out of it. Put it right in the middle. I do what I can. I gotta incorporate flowers into everything, right? I would really love it if you guys try this recipe. It is so good. Let's put a little black in the middle. And you just serve it with like corn, like Tostito chips. And there it is, all done, ready to go. So here we are at our holiday party. Say hi, everybody. Merry Christmas. Woo woo. And my dip, we just put it down and it's already going. You gotta make this. So I just want to reiterate how grateful I am for all of you guys this year. And I want to wish you and yours a very, very happy holiday. Bye-bye. Get out there and grow.